It's freezing, but the garage gets humid. Now, if you leave the door open, there's no airflow, or leave the door closed, and it progressively gets wetter and wetter in here. But we got new roots, man, new roots. Pretty much, pretty much. Talking to, is it Peter in Alberta? Forgot that I was actually in the Discord channel. Which is actually funny, it didn't give me a notification that you joined, because that's why I was in the channel, was to wait for the notification for people that are actually like showing up. Yeah, I did stage 3A yesterday. It's not a bad route. It does that stupid tower or that climb to the big tree. That's dirt. But yeah. Yeah, I've been trying to just sort of, I'm concentrating on base over the winter. You know, I do one hard effort a week, and the rest is just like tootling along. But it's tough when you join those group rides, because you get dropped and you're like, oh man, I really want to do 250 watts to stay with this group, but I can't. Like, I need to stop, slow down, and they drift off into the distance. Well, it's so funny because they actually do have these stages as races, but the group rides turn into races. Like, I was watching chat yesterday's, and it was all like, you know, the guys chatting like, oh, 4 guys went off the front. Should we go for them? Should we, like, you know, bridge? And I'm like thinking, dude, it's group ride. Stop it. Like the race stage starts 5 minutes after the group stage. Like, why did you come in why did those top 100 people come in the group ride, and all I see is chatting about, you know, kicking ass? Like, good job, boys. We're off the front now. Let's keep it up. Let's, like, drop the rest of the field. And like, well, dude, you're putting that in chat. Like, do the race. That was always my hate for like drop road rides. Because like you'd show up, or not even a drop road ride, but you'd show up, well, look at like the Monday night rides. You know, dudes are showing up and they're pulling 34K an hour, you know, on like the beginner ride. And then there's a dozen of them, and I'm thinking, why don't you guys show up to the crits? And like none of them would show up to the crits. Like, if you want to push yourself, let's do some real racing. It's the group ride warriors. You know, do major efforts in inappropriate places, thinking that's, they're winning the group ride. Oh, I get passed by so many commuters. Actually, when I commute and I get passed by someone, because I usually ride at a fairly easy effort, but I think, man, they passed me really fast. Like if I had to bump it up to their effort level, like that's hard. Like why are they going so hard on the way to work? Kind of the same. There's so many e-bikes on the road now. I just gave up. There's no point. I get passed by a dozen e-bikes every commute home. Oh yeah. Yeah. The ones that look like actual like scooters, like the motorbike scooters. Like you sit there and your feet go in front, but they do have pedals. The ones that are trying to skirt around the law because they actually do have pedals, but you would never use them. They're super wide and in weird spots. People were getting like tons of tickets in Victoria last summer over those kind of scooters because people were up in arms because I guess the stores are selling them saying they meet the law, but the law is going, no, they don't. You got to get out of the bike lane. Shouldn't be in the bike lane. And then the people are like, oh, well, the store said, but it's like if you do a 2-minute Google search, you can realize that they're not legal. Oh, there's tons. Someone actually on one of the very original Metro Facebook pages or posts where people were hating on it, some guy who obviously knew some sort of like traffic engineering stuff posted a long rant in response to the rants about how roads are designed with, semis, and he had like even like like widths and stuff, saying that all of these roads are designed in such a way that a semi-trailer with a 43-foot trailer could safely ride on these roads. And that if you can't drive your car on these roads because you feel unsafe, that you should get your retested. Yeah, I've seen 2 transit buses going the opposite direction past each other, and they had like 7 feet between their mirrors. Is it done yet though? Like I haven't been up there for a few weeks. Oh, when I was yeah, because I go when I was commuting on my bike, I used to go up there just to go out of my way to check on it, and it seemed like they were always very close to being done, but never done. I have a coworker that lives on Metro or just off of Metro. He loves it. He takes his kids on the bike lanes all the time. Well, that's the problem is people won't ride if you don't have the infrastructure. But then people get mad at the infrastructure and then no one's using it yet. Well, yeah, I know. Like, oh, well, I was watching. Did you see they came out with a new Apple TV? Well, no, the problem is it's Zwift. So Zwift has to actually enable and test the better graphics. So until Zwift does that, it's the same as all the other ones. Despite having, 40% more GPU power and well, I think DC Rainmaker said it should be definitely capable of 4K 60, the new one. And it's cheaper than the old one. Like, when does that happen? It's new, it's better, it's smaller, and it's cheaper. I think so, because then you get like, when you buy one, you get 6 months of Apple TV for free, and then you end up signing up for a subscription. And but yeah, apparently Zwift has to test it and then enable, the graphics for it or some weird thing. But Zwift, like, when is that going to happen? Yeah, she definitely needs clothes. Yeah, that was the rule with our cats was if we need a jacket or need to wear clothes in the house, the cat needs clothes. Yeah, I've heard some countries are actually like banning the breeding of certain dog breeds, like pugs and bulldogs. Because, dude, yeah, just because apparently the bulldog, like, if you look at pictures of a English bulldog from 100 years ago to now, they look completely different. And apparently, there's not enough genetic diversity in the bulldog gene pool to bring it back to health. $9.13, where's Brad? Oh, that's not unusual. That's like every time we ride. This new route is actually pretty nice. I'm doing beaches or bridges and what the heck am I doing? What route am I doing? Like I was just in the little hills and now I'm riding along the ocean front. It's quite nice. Ah, oh, there's this. I did the Mech Island yesterday, and there's a section of sand that is drastically slower. Yeah, I was doing 35K an hour, and within about 20 seconds, I was down to 22, 21. Like, and you could like see yourself just. Yeah, and get off and have to run like the cross races going along the beach. It's a little too realistic. You got to get off your bike and then you got to like hit the certain buttons to make your guy run. All right. Yeah. All right. That route is done. Yeah, Bridges and Boardwalk. That's the one I just did. That was nice. 8K, easy. No, I'm starting with the super short ones, and I'm just going, like I did the Mech Island loop yesterday, did the Bridges and Boardwalk. I'm just kind of like going up towards the long distance ones. So the next one is called Fine and Sandy. I think I'm going to switch to the mountain bike for that one. Just to see. Yes. Yes. Yeah. All right, there we go. Mountain bike. Not really. Every Well, there's something to be said for that. Like it's not my cup of tea, but I could see if you're not really into cycling, buying something like that to be just because it works. Oh yeah, this route you definitely want the bike, mountain bike. It's like it's 500 meters of gravel and then or 500 meters of pavement, and now I'm just in the beach on the sand. Yes. Well, there's a issue with whether you can switch fast enough to make it worth it. That's actually that Temple KOM climb was the ultimate ZRL last season that I rode because so I got dropped off the lead pack. So I actually just went really, really slow and I got a steamroller power up. And then before the climb actually started, I switched to the mountain bike, used the steamroller, and ended up getting third fastest up that climb for points. It turns all the roads into pavement. And it's massively overpowered because it lasts for a really long time and it's unbelievably fast. Because, I mean, everyone else is on gravel and you're flying up on pavement. It's honestly like it honestly should be taken out of races because there's some situations where if you do not get the steamroller, you will be dropped. And so it's actually deciding the race. Brad. Yeah. Gotta get them root points. It's kind of funny how that totally drives me. Because the moment I had done all the routes and hit level 50 in Zwift, I had no desire to ride in Zwift at all. Like, I was done. I'm like, I beat the game. That's it. And then even when they came out with level 60, I was like, eh. But as soon as there's new routes, I'm like, sweet. But now I'm going to finish them all like this weekend. Oh, there's a Discord channel or server that I'm on. There's actually a channel called Jersey Unlocks. And there's one guy, like, that's his thing, is jerseys. And he posts, there's like 2 or 3 rides a day that have fancy jerseys for unlocking. Apparently there's the Movember jersey. This club does a group ride 1 day a year at a one specific time, and that's the only time you can get like their Movember kit. Yeah, apparently it's super rare because it's once a year for an hour, and you have to like sign up for the ride. Well, I'm wondering if it's different now because of that. Like, there is literally thousands of jerseys in the game. So it might be... All right, I'm on pavement now and I'm going really slow. Yes, that is very handy. I use that for races. Just because, like, you can tell I need to slow the F down because I'm 20 minutes in and I have 40 TSS. Yeah. Cycling Canada just announced that they are again doing the Canadian National Esports Championships in February on RGT. I would encourage everyone to actually enter the race, whether you want to race or not, because it was fun. And then you can say that you raced in the Canadian Nationals. Like I was 17th for 2022. Yes. So you can sign up for the race and race on a free account. You have to have a provincial affiliation license if you want to be counted in the standings. If you don't have a license, like Cycling BC, then you just race. But I mean, everyone's going to get Cycling BC, so... Yeah, the I Ride one actually counts for the Canadian Nationals. It's just funny because it's not super popular. And so then you can go around the whole year and be like, yeah, I was 17th in Canada in my age group. And there's prizes and all that other stuff. They have like random draws and... I think it's in February this year. It was in March last year. Hey, Jamie. But Cycling Canada actually holds Wednesday night Zwift group rides. Yeah, Jamie, it just got announced. Or it got announced like 4 days ago. It's in February this year. Pretty darn clear. Yeah. Yeah, that's super strange. Like, did you I'm wondering, did you have an Alberta cycling license? Because I was reading the tech guide and it said if you didn't have an actual race license, you wouldn't be in the official results. See, we have to have a, oh yeah, like for our local club rides and races, we have to have a Cycling BC membership to actually attend for insurance purposes. And so the Canadian Championships were the same thing where look at this, Jamie. Look, this route's called Mangrove Maze. They named a route after you. I'll probably do that route next. Like, oh, you can't find volunteers? Oh, we haven't been saying that for the last 6 years. Yeah, look at this. It's beautiful riding through the swamp. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks for the ride on. Well, like you said, Brad, the old timers who race crits, they're not coming out as much anymore. So the only way to grow the crits is through beginners. And beginners won't show up if you're lumping all of the pros into the same race. It's kind of, so the Cycling BC one, I'm pretty sure is the same or close to the Alberta one. They say there is, like the Cycling BC one, you get 24-hour insurance. So like you fall off a sidewalk riding down, but it's mostly liability insurance if you like are on your bike and crash into somebody else. The payouts for injuries are like jack squat. So like most insurance, it's like a baloney. Well, yeah, and if you go in a big event, the big event has insurance when you sign up that you're being covered under. So unless you're actually doing races on a regular basis, there's no real reason to have it. Because I'm the master of all the data. He has it all at his fingertips. Well, I think the old timers, like most old timers, and I do the same thing, is you always think of the good days. And yes, 2018, 2019 pre-COVID, you were getting high 20s, sometimes into the 30s in participation, but and you think of that. But I think a lot of times too, Zwift kicked everyone's ass. Like, Zwift wasn't really a big thing in 2018, even 2019. COVID happened. Everyone realized, hey, we can do what we're doing right now. I can jump in the garage, get a good ride in. Why am I waiting till 7 p.m. to go race and potentially get hurt? I totally do that. When I start, we're having like a discussion on Discord here, and my family's actually Italian, so I do get pretty into it. Hey, Locutus. Thanks for the raid. I was riding with you there for a little bit. I don't even want... COVID. That's no good. Yeah, Nick. Yeah. Yeah, I think so, Jamie. I'm going to spend the rest of my winter doing zone 2 base miles with, say, one hard race a week leading up to probably February. No, They haven't even released the sort of race Bible yet, or the technical guide. They just announced it on their website. So they haven't gotten a course, or I don't even think they have a firm date yet. They just did say that it was moved from March to February. Oh, I watched part of your stream. I was doing stuff around the house and I had your stream on. I was wondering what. Oh, looks like this route is just about done. There's the green flag. Yeah, I've been slowly ramping up the time. Oh no, did you lose your distance or? All right, let's do. Oh, McCurry, picking the wrong place. Island outskirts. What other ones do I have? Island hopper. Probably not getting these all done tomorrow. Let's pick island outskirts. This looks like a lot of ground, a lot of pavement. Let's change bikes. I had to do the PRL half twice because it glitched out. Oh, I didn't.
There it is. And that is the goal map. So, General, what's the link I use to change my banner at the top to show the K for K cumulative goal or funds raised? I gotta enable links.
Thanks for the ride on, James. Wow. Oh, I did that when I did the PRL full. I did the same thing. I sprinted up the last escalator. I didn't get a 5-second PR, but I did get over, I think, 1,200 watts. Hey, Lakitas, thanks for the raid. You have a good rest of your day. Like lifting your kid or something. Could be. Could be. Also depends on how many matches you burned. I mean, even if you did a super long ride and you just went at a slow pace like, this, you could probably have more room in the tank than you think you do, especially for one 5-second effort. Did my Discord break, or did everyone just stop talking? Oh, okay, I was like, it went like completely silent for 20 seconds, and I'm like, wait a sec, what's going on here? Doing No, I get you on that. You did sprints up the escalator? No, no, you don't do that. My first impressions of it's the same but different. I like the views. Are in the jungle sort of right now. Tons of pavement or tons of gravel. Like, very, like, bike. Like, you got to be picking a proper bike. You're on pavement for a kilometer and then I'm ramping up. So right now I'm about 5 hours a week. No, I'm ramping up because it was too much. I couldn't do it. So like I did like an hour, like last week I rode both Saturday and Sunday, and I was pretty crushed. Even just doing zone 2, like I was kind of surprised at how poorly I felt. And so I figured, well, maybe, but the problem is always time. As much as I say ramp up, I mean like add 10 minutes a week. Like you can't all of a sudden, like I'm not gonna ramp up over the winter and be like, I'm riding 20 hours a week. Like, I think my all-time best ever was I strung a few 12-hour weeks together. Yeah, that's about, I think, I rode on Wednesday for 2 hours. I rode Friday morning for an hour and a half. I'm at about an hour right now. I think for me, it's just every day. Like instead of trying to do a 3-hour ride, I'd rather jump on the bike for an hour every morning. But there's only, that's what I'm doing now. I think eventually it will turn into, a 3-hour ride Saturday, because you can't work on long distance if you're not sitting in the saddle for long distance or time. I don't think you can actually get too much zone 2, because that's the beauty of zone 2, is that your body can handle a crap ton of zone 2. But if you do an interval workout, you need like 2 days to recover from that interval workout. I think so, because oh no, you couldn't. Yeah, no, you definitely, like Jamie just posted, is like, you definitely important to develop the muscular and fat metabolism. It's on, no, it's on my chat. I have people listening to me talk about stuff. They can't hear you guys, but they're getting the gist of the conversation and they're posting their opinions. No, they can't hear you. You guys are off. Well, my stream is rated for mature audiences, so curse words are okay. Well, you definitely need to take a week off. Like I was looking at the, well, it depends, but I was looking at the system training, and in their workout like program, it's like 1 week off every 3 weeks. No, in the off week you do nothing. Well, that's why you have an off week. Well, and like, and like Brad mentioned too, heart rate does play a big factor into it. If you're riding zone 2 power, but your heart rate is in zone 4, it's because you're massively fatigued and you need to back it way off. Sort of. I do, yeah. I Yes. Yeah, you do 150 and that's your rest week. 150 of zone 2 just to recover, and then you hit right back into it. You can't physically progress week after week after week after week. Can't do it. Yeah, like I pretty much follow like the self-diagnose. Well, the 20% is hard. I've never reached 20%, even when doing like ZRL races. That's a lot of effort. I think 80-20 is like, that's if you're pro. Because the 20% needs to be above threshold. So you're doing, if your FTP is 250, you're trying to ride 20% of your overall riding is over, like, say, 300 watts. Like zone. Oh, okay. Yeah. That's not bad. Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, see that's attainable. Yeah, they're discussing the Dylan Johnson videos. Oh, grumpy and irritable, that's Norm all the time. No, Norm is like the least grumpy and irritable guy. Well, see, and here's the thing. Actually, that exact thing, because I use a program called Xert, and it's very similar to intervals. But yeah, like you can set your rate of gain. And what the problem is people use it wrong because you set your rate of gain. You can't gain every week for like 2 years. It's like physically impossible And so you have to kind of do the whole 3 steps forward, 1 step back. But that 1 step back is doing way more than you actually think. I used to, because I remember TTs. I go camping for a week, and I used to hate it because I would think, man, I'm not on the bike. I'm sitting here drinking beer. Like, I need to be on the bike. I'm losing gains. Every TT that I did after a week of camping, I broke my PR. Because your legs were 100% fresh from doing nothing. I didn't live, because you need that freshness to build, to build more. Like, it's like building muscle. Like, you can't do squats every single day. Like, you're doing nothing. Like, the actual act of building muscle is breaking the muscle down. Well, if you're breaking it down every single day, it's not healing to allow building on top of that. And as much as I say this, I do it. I get caught up. I get caught up in it as well anyways, where I'm like, oh man, it was really tough to take a day off. Too much news. No, you need a day off. Thanks for stopping by, Jamie. Well, and it's tough to say, we're all getting older. The older we get, the more rest we need. Forever. Thank you too, Norm. I will be as well. These new routes, there is no perfect bike for these routes. I have been swapping nonstop, and it's pointless. It's a kilometer paved, 2K dirt, 2K kilometer pavement, 1K dirt. Like, it is just non-stop switching back and forth. Yes. As the speeds progress, I think, like on that climb we were talking about, Zwift Insider did a test, and it was like the Grail was like 40 seconds faster at the same sort of effort. But the mountain bike, if you go into the jungle and you go on that downhill section on large group rides where no one else switches, you go so fast. So fast. Like, I'll be watching. Yeah, that could be, but I know in the jungle in particular, if you're on the mountain bike, you can do like zero point 0.4 watts per kg less and keep up with people. I'm not trying to go for time, so I kept swapping, and I'm like, this is pointless. Well, he's a runner. Well, it's tough if you truly love it. I don't think I've truly loved other sports enough where, like, when my time was done, I was like, yep, see ya.